Hey everyone, welcome into the series finale of Dark, Season 3, Episode 8, which is called The Paradise. Thank you so much, as always, for your support, for joining me. This is a bittersweet moment because I'll never get to watch this show for the first time again, and this is the final episode. And I see that it's an hour 13. This is amazing. I'm so happy for the longer runtime. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a potential emotional ending, so just in case, got myself ready with some tear soaking stuff. I don't have anything to say going into this. I'm excited. I'm so looking forward to this. I hope you are too. To those of you that have rewatched the show with my reactions, I hope this has been an enjoyable time. For those of you that have also watched along for the first time to this show, thank you so much for doing that too. It's been really fun. So let's not drag this on any longer, and let's go ahead and press play. All right, y'all. Here we go. Adam's world. Michael. What breaks my heart is that he never thought of this. Suicide never crossed his mind. But in the same way that a gun can't kill Jonas, he must have had this compulsion, he had to do this. I really don't want to see this again.
Aber deine hat kein Ende.
But yours has no end?
Ich bin hier, damit deine Reise endlich ein Ende findet.
Oh yeah.
Das ist unmöglich.
It's crazy seeing Adam like this. It is so crazy.
Ich habe dich töten lassen.
Du hast immer noch keine Ahnung, wie dieses Spiel gespielt wird.
Ich habe Martha und den Ursprung getötet.
Maybe you didn't. Maybe you sent her somewhere else. Well, you would have had to because the origin exists.
Du hast gedacht, dass der Ursprung in der Verbindung der beiden Welten liegt. Aber in Wahrheit liegt er außerhalb der beiden Welten.
Really?
Unser Denken ist vom Dualismus geprägt. Aber das ist falsch. Ohne eine dritte Dimension ist nichts vollkommen.
The
Die
triquet.
Triketa.
It's been on the book the whole time, that symbol. It's so easy to forget about it, though.
Es gibt
Is there a third world?
eine dritte Welt.
Die Welt, aus der dieser Knoten geboren wurde. In der ein einziger Fehler begangen wurde.
Oh.
Tannhaus. In der Ursprungswelt. Er hat wie
Oh.
du jemanden verloren.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Und wie du hat er versucht, jemanden von den Toten zu... Aber stattdessen hat er seine Welt gespalten und
Split and then destroyed.
unsere beiden Welten erschaffen.
They really are not, making us wait in this finale, and I love it. Just immediate, even before the intro runs.
Aber es gibt einen Weg, diesen Knoten zu zerstören. Indem wir verhindern, dass in der Ursprungswelt das Reisen durch Raum und Zeit überhaupt erst erfunden wird.
Okay, that makes sense. But can it be done? I won't lie. Even with rereading episodes over, even with the companion site, the fact that we see that symbol so much, it's so easy to forget about it. And I have absolutely 100,000% forgotten about it many times. So all those scenes with Tannhaus then in the bunker, that was the origin world.
Ich hätte dir all das gerne erspart. Aber dein Weg musste erhalten bleiben.
Wow.
Jeder Schritt musste genauso
Wow.
getan werden wie zuvor. Bis zu diesem Moment.
So Claudia has been on top. Claudia didn't end up on top, and it's crazy because Jonas was the one who, in the first place with her.
Dass du versuchst, den Ursprung zu zerstören. Das ist unendliche Male passiert.
Infinite.
Aber das hier, du und ich, geschieht zum ersten Mal.
Cool. Okay.
Es ist Zeit, dass du verstehst, wie alles wirklich zu sein.
Brother, this is so crazy.
Alles, was du getan hast, alles, was Eva getan hat dazu geführt, den Knoten aus beiden Welten auf ewig aufrechtzuerhalten. Du erschaffst dich auf ewig neu.
Yeah, they're basically just one and the same.
Sie alle müssen sterben, damit sie wiedergeboren werden können. Du trägst beide Welten in dir. Dein Sohn. Er ist der Ursprung. Er schenkt abwechselnd in der einen und in der anderen Welt allen ihr Leben.
Yes, he does. Literally. Especially after last episode and all we learned. Everyone is a descendant of him.
Er hat lange auf dich gewartet. Und er wird es immer wieder tun.
He actually looks like her. Like, they look alike. Oh.
Du willst deinen Sohn zerstören. Eva will, dass er lebt und muss dafür den Knoten aufrechterhalten. Sie wird immer wieder alles dafür tun, dass ihr Sohn lebt.
Wenn du willst, dass Jonas lebt, dann müssen wir tun, was schon immer geschehen ist.
That's a gun.
Ihr beide habt auf eurer Reise unvorstellbare Dinge getan, weil ihr nicht loslassen könnt, was ihr tief im Inneren wollt.
This is when she goes and kills Jonas.
Ihr habt versucht, dem zu entkommen, was aus euch wird. Aber es ist unmöglich.
It's really cool seeing the same scenes from the different sides.
Eure beiden Welten hätten niemals existieren dürfen. Hättet niemals existieren dürfen.
Woher weißt du das alles?
Yeah, how do you?
Ich habe 33 Jahre in beiden Welten nach Antworten gesucht. Versucht, die Puzzleteile zusammenzusetzen.
Her motivation was also her own daughter and losing her.
Bis ich begriffen habe, dass wir nicht alle Teil
We're
des
not all
Knotens
part of
sind.
the knot?
All die Jahre habe ich gedacht, dass sie meine Tochter ist.
Ich habe mir lange Zeit gewünscht, dass du der Vater bist.
Bro, what? What?
Aber es ist besser so. Sie ist nicht Teil des Knotens.
She's not? She's not in the knot?
Musste ich den Knoten erst aufrechterhalten, damit ich zu dem werde, was ich heute bin.
Du weißt, was du tun musst. Mach es schnell.
Okay. She pre-made the grave before she even died. Claudia and Tronte have really been through a lot together, hey? Jesus. Crazy.
Ihr habe ich Schmerz und Leid gebracht. Wieder und wieder. Damit mein Weg mich heute hier zu dir führen konnte.
Is Claudia gonna end up being my favorite character in the end?
All die Jahre habe ich in beiden Welten nach einem Weg gesucht, wie sie leben kann. Habe ich versucht zu begreifen, wie alles zusammenhängt. Dass sie nur in der Welt, aus der alles entstanden ist, leben kann. Der Ursprungswelt. Ich habe dich belogen. Und Eva.
What the fuck? Claudia is at the top of all of this. What the fuck? She had to ensure that everyone
Alles musste
stayed in the
so
dark.
geschehen, wie es schon immer geschehen ist.
Brother. What in the heck? When we first meet Claudia,
Ist hier gerade jemand vorbeigekommen? So ein alter Mann?
he harms middle-aged Helga.
Kein Schicksal in der einen Welt besser als das andere.
Welchen Tag haben wir heute? Wenn es dich nicht mehr gibt, wird
I don't want to relive this. I don't want to go through this again.
hast du mit ihm gemacht?
Die Dinge passieren vielleicht nicht auf dieselbe Art und Weise oder zur selben Zeit.
Yeah, we got that. They do happen.
Keiner in diesem Knoten kann seinem Schicksal entkommen.
Guys, I love Ulrich like I do. This makes me happy though.
Wie du habe ich die Figuren über das Schachbrett gezogen und musste dabei zusehen, wie alles immer wieder passiert. Aber ich weiß endlich, wie man den Knoten lösen kann.
Während der Apokalypse ist sie für den Bruchteil einer Sekunde stehen geblieben.
Yes, it did, and they mentioned that.
Ist für einen Moment auch die Kette aus Ursache und Wirkung gebrochen.
Eva weiß das. Sie nutzt das Schlupfloch in deiner Welt, um ihr jüngeres Ich in die eine oder andere Richtung laufen zu lassen.
Right.
Und damit den Kreislauf aufrechtzuerhalten.
Right.
Und ich habe es genutzt, um mich ebenfalls in eine andere Richtung laufen zu lassen, um heute hier zu sein. Und du musst es dafür nutzen, Jonas auf einen anderen Weg zu schicken. Du musst sie in die Ursprungswelt schicken, damit sie dem Ganzen endlich ein Ende setzt.
Okay. Alt world, Eva's world, older Helga straight up murdering Ulrich for what Ulrich did to him. That is kind of badass, won't lie. I'm proud of Helga. So this Jonas and Alt Martha have to go to the origin world.
Was machst du noch hier? Was willst du noch von mir?
Ich kann dir das erklären. Alles.
Okay. Okay, y'all.
Was ist das?
Das ist unsere letzte Hoffnung.
We're flipped.
Es gibt einen Weg, wie du nicht zu mir werden musst. Wie all das hier niemals passieren muss. Musst du mir vertrauen.
So this is new for him too.
Dir bleibt nur wenig Zeit. Die andere Martha. Du musst sie retten.
Die andere Martha?
Ich habe all die Jahre gedacht, dass nur ich allein es ändern muss. Aber es ist ebenso ihre Schuld. Ihr seid zwei Teile eines Ganzen. Nur gemeinsam könnt ihr zurück in die Ursprungswelt. Was wir wissen, ist ein Tropfen.
Mm-hmm. That was said so long ago in this show. For the first time.
Das Schlupfloch. Es existiert auch hier. Für einen Moment.
Yeah, but where's the loop here? I don't know if that's obvious to us yet. Or, well, definitely not obvious to me.
Sie holen.
Maybe it's that moment where Bartosz, he interrupted. Yeah?
Seid unsere letzte Hoffnung.
Two of you are the last hope. Ooh, I'm so excited.
Er und Martha. Sie werden verhindern, dass all das hier jemals passiert.
They look so alike, it is crazy. Such good casting.
Papa, sag ihm, dass es mir leid tut.
Oh, right. Wait, so then this... So Claudia still dies.
Wenn alles gelingt, dann wird Regina leben.
Because this is before she goes to Egon in the 50s and has that conversation, right? I just realized I don't have my dark notes open. I haven't for all these episodes that I've watched today. Just realized. Okay, so Bartosz already has her. God, how confusing though to just like show up in Winden in a whole other place and then all you're told is you need to save Martha. Yeah, okay, here we go. Jonas. Jonas!
Was soll das alles hier? Du musst wieder zurückkommen. Wohin mit Gott?
Jonas, hurry, Jonas, hurry, Jonas, hurry, Jonas, hurry. Would that not be the biggest trip of your life if you were Magnus and Franziska? Wow, I love that. I love that, I love that, I love that, I love that. But if you were Magnus and Franziska seeing a teenage Jonas running like that, would that not be the biggest mindfuck ever?
Das kann nicht sein.
And this is his first time meeting Alt Martha, technically, but not hers.
Du siehst aus wie sie.
Yeah, she thinks it's the same. It's not, honey. It's, yeah, he doesn't know you. Yeah, sorry, Martha.
Welche Zeit sind wir?
This is our first time in the origin world.
Wann sind wir?
Heute ist der 21. Juni 1986, der Tag, an dem unsere beiden Welten erschaffen wurden. Tannhaus. Er wird heute die Passage zum ersten Mal öffnen. Wir müssen verhindern, dass es jemals passiert.
Warte!
Come on, Martha, you just gotta roll with it, honey. He's in Eva's world. Crazy. So where the hell is Eva then, I wonder? Like, girl, where are you? This song never gets old. I love when it plays in this show. I'm glad they reuse it all the time. Did he really just come here to set fire to that and now he's leaving again?
Wir holen jemanden zurück von den Toten. Es ist etwas kompliziert zu erklären. Wir sind der Grund dafür, dass alles so passiert. Immer wieder passiert. Weil du nicht loslassen kannst, was du willst. Und ich nicht loslassen kann, was ich will.
It's really the issue, isn't it?
Der Fehler in der Matrix.
Du willst, dass sie nie existieren. Dass wir nie existieren.
Is this gonna be Adam?
Ich habe dich bereits erwartet. Ich weiß, warum du hier bist. Aber am Ende ist jeder tot. Nur ein neuer Anfang. Du wirst mich heute töten. Martha wird mich finden. Es wird sie endgültig gegen dich wenden.
I see.
Worauf wartest du?
I see. Okay. He's not. Yo.
So ist es nicht passiert.
It's because this is happening for the first time.
Du wirst sterben. Ich werde sterben. Und alles, was aus uns gewachsen ist.
Was hast du getan?
We figured it out thanks to Claudia figuring it out.
Erst, wenn man die Mitte erreicht hat, wird man verstehen.
So we're going to the center. We're going to the center.
Alles, was wir getan haben, wird am Ende vergessen sein.
That's kind of sad. A little bit anyway. But at the same time, a lot of bullshit has happened in this world, so in both of them. A crazy family tree, people killing their children and their parents, and fucking, literally fucking everyone without birth control.
Sind der Fehler. Du und ich.
That's really heartbreaking. You never want to feel like you're a mistake. And Adam's here like, yeah, we're a mistake. You and I. We're the problem. It's us.
Tannhaus hat in der Ursprungswelt alles verloren, was ihm jemals etwas bedeutet hat. Sie wurden über eine Brücke gedrängt, sind im Fluss ertrunken. Jonas und Martha, sie müssen ihm den Schmerz nehmen, damit er niemals nach einem Weg sucht, alles rückgängig zu machen.
Wow, it's crazy that it all comes back to Tannhaus.
Dass unsere beiden Welten jemals erschaffen werden.
It's cool that the door on that one goes up like this instead of like this.
Tannhaus hat versucht, in eine Welt zurückzureisen, in der seine Familie noch lebt. Aber anstattdessen hat er seine Welt gespalten, den Knoten erschaffen, uns erschaffen.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Für einen kurzen Augenblick wird es eine Brücke geben zwischen allen drei Welten.
Du willst in seine Welt.
Wir müssen zu dem Moment zurückreisen, wo sein Schmerz seinen Anfang genommen hat.
So it feels like the origin world has just been chilling. Meanwhile, Adam's world, Eva's world has just been...
Der Jonas in deiner Welt, war er anders?
Yeah, this Jonas doesn't know that... Okay, y'all, here we go.
Es beginnt.
Mm-hmm. I love seeing older them together. I was just about to say the reflection in his eyes.
Martha?
Jonas!
This is so chirpy. I have no thoughts right now. I would have no idea what to do.
Martha!
This feels like the literal glitch in the Matrix. Does it not? Like, it's not green, but this is feeling very Matrixy. Hello?
Martha? Was glaubst du?
Er sieht traurig aus.
Wer sieht traurig aus?
Der Junge, der da steht.
No way. No way. Is she gonna see young him? Yeah.
Was willst du denn im Keller? Was ist denn da?
Da steht ein Mädchen.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Deine ewigen Vorträge, Big Bang, Big Crunch. Hast du Sonja mal gefragt, ob sie das überhaupt interessiert? Hast du mich all die Jahre mal gefragt, ob mich das interessiert?
Es regnet draußen.
No wonder he was so about this. The last conversation they had was a fight.
Du hast mir doch gesagt, die Welt da draußen wäre voller Geheimnisse. Und dass das, was wir wissen, ein Tropfen in einem unendlichen Ozean ist, ja? Wenigstens da hast du mal recht gehabt. Über mich weißt du absolut gar nichts.
Ich dachte, ihr bleibt noch ein paar Tage.
Er kriegt sich schon wieder ein.
Oh, I just realized that we've got much bigger black bars. That might have happened before and I just didn't realize, but I just noticed it now.
Wir hätten genauso gut morgen fahren können.
Sterne, Galaxien, beschissene Universen und mich. Mich hat er nie gesehen.
Man kann sich seine Familie eben nicht aussuchen.
Dich habe ich mir ausgesucht.
Mich hast du dir ausgesucht.
Aber was soll denn das? Ihr könnt
Hear
doch
us
nicht einfach
out,
hier
hear us
rumstehen,
out,
ich habe
hear
grad
us
was
out.
überfahren.
Start talking. Hello?
Die Brücke ist gesperrt. Es gab einen Unfall.
Findet ihr das lustig oder was? Komm, geht mal nach Hause.
Gotta say
Was
more
wir
than
wissen, ist
that.
ein Tropfen.
There we go. There we
Was wir
go.
nicht wissen, ein Ozean.
There we go.
Dein Vater liebt dich. Er würde alles für dich tun.
Marek? Ist alles okay?
Die Brücke ist gesperrt.
Komm. Los, komm.
The bridge is closed indeed. I like the double meaning of that. It just occurred to me in my brain, telling them the physical bridge is closed,
Was war das denn?
but it's also meaning that the bridge between worlds is closing.
Wir sollten morgen fahren.
Ihr seid zurück?
Die Brücke ist gesperrt. Dein Sohn denkt, er hat ein paar Engel gesehen.
Mach dich nicht lustig. Ich hatte nur plötzlich so ein Gefühl.
Schön, dass ihr wieder da seid.
So I wonder what the future of Tannhaus is in this world, because the death of them doesn't motivate him to do what he does, right? Cute. Well, it worked, so that means goodbye to everything that we've experienced in this show.
Im Licht. Ich hab dich gesehen. Als ob du mich auch sehen würdest.
Same.
Das warst du. Es war kein Traum. Glaubst du, dass irgendetwas von uns bleibt? Oder ist es das, was wir dann sind? Ein Traum? Das hat uns nie wirklich gegeben.
Ich weiß es nicht. Wir passen perfekt zusammen. Ich glaube nie etwas anderes.
They were in the end, they fixed it. Fitting song. Ugh. Jonas.
What a wonderful world.
He looks relieved, but also scared, confused. This is really good visual effects. I like it a lot.
What a wonderful world.
Claudia, you figured it out. Okay, I think we're still in the origin world. Well, we have to be, because everyone's disappeared.
Ja.
Warte, ich helfe.
Oh, who is...
Und jetzt stoßen wir auf Regina.
Oh my gosh, everyone's together?
Und danke für die Einladung.
Oh.
Auf dich.
Oh. Okay.
Du hast uns nie erzählt, was da eigentlich
Oh
genau
my
passiert.
God, are you serious?
Mir hast du es auch noch nie gesagt.
Erzähl.
Erzähl mal, Torben.
Komm, erzähl.
Komm, erzähl. Letzten Sommer ist...
Are they just gonna play us right now?
Ist das jetzt die Apokalypse?
Eine Kerze.
Ja, warte, ich in ein Feuer.
Hanna?
Ich weiß auch nicht, ich glaube, ich hatte gerade ein Déjà-vu oder sowas.
Hannah's with Torben Voller. Katharina's with Peter.
Das hört sich jetzt vollkommen absurd an, aber ich habe genau das hier letzte Nacht geträumt. Es gab einen lauten Knall, dann war plötzlich alles dunkel. War die Welt zu Ende. Ich hatte so ein eigenartiges Gefühl, als ob das gut ist. Als ob man plötzlich frei ist von allem. Kein Wollen, kein Müssen. Nichts.
Okay, Hannah.
Das solltest du dringend untersuchen lassen.
Vielleicht sind das die Hormone.
Wenn die Welt heute untergeht und ihr hättet einen Wunsch frei, was würdet ihr euch wünschen?
Eine Welt ohne Winden. Ah.
Sieht so aus, als ob Winden nicht so einfach gehen will.
Habt ihr schon einen Namen?
Ich weiß nicht.
Name?
Ich glaube, ich finde Jonas einen schönen Namen.
I'm going to take a sec to read this episode over. I'm going to take a sec to review the companion website, and then I'll be back. Okay. What a show. What a finale. I am very, very pleased with how this ended. And it's crazy to think about how Jonas and Martha are like Adam and Eve, and Tannhaus is essentially God without realizing that he was. Like, how crazy is it that the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning still applies here, because Tannhaus loses his children and grandchild, frantically tries to create time travel to save them, but doesn't realize that he actually succeeds, and then they end up being saved as a result. But he is like completely unaware of all that. But his thing, his work ended up splitting and creating all this, and then that Jonas and Martha ended up saving his kids. That is so crazy. It's a happy ending for that, but at the same time, this ending is also bittersweet because we have lost the vast majority of the characters in this show. The final scene in this finale was initially confusing to me, but I've gone to the wiki and I read it over, and now it makes sense. I did not realize that everyone that was sitting at that table, not quite everyone, but everyone that was sitting at that table is not part of the family tree that descended from Jonas and Martha, that descended from the origin, the unknown. Regina is Bernd Doppler's kid. Bernd Doppler and Claudia Tiedemann in this origin world. And the family tree on the Dark Wiki, or not the Dark Wiki, but the Dark Companion site, the family tree is updated, and we've got Egon and Doris, Claudia, across to Bernd Doppler, and then Regina Tiedemann is their child. And that's what Claudia figured out. That's what Claudia figured out. She figured out that Regina is not in the loop, and thus she is also not in the loop. And that was the way through. Claudia becoming who she was is crazy to me. And something that I never would have expected. I never ever would have thought that we would have Claudia instructing both Adam and Eva. Like, that is so It's so cool to me, though. I cannot wait to rewatch the show because I genuinely feel like on a rewatch, Claudia may end up being one of my favorite characters, if not my #1 character in the entire show. It'll be hard to, like, because I'm trying to think of the characters right now and, like, how I would rank them, who my favorites are. But it's really tough. It's really, really tough to figure that out. Anyway, so that was the final scene. Also, I made a mistake. For some reason, I thought Katharina and Peter were together. No, Peter and Bernie, obviously. Or Benny, not Bernie. Benny. Bernadette. Yes, Benny. Peter and Benny are together, living a happy life. Torben Voller and Hannah. Did Torben not make a comment at some point in season 2 about Hannah or something, if I'm remembering correctly? Like, he maybe had a thing for her. Anyway, rewatching, I'll catch it, but this confirms that now they're together, living happily ever after. And then Regina, living her best life, no cancer, no nothing, and has 2 parents that are loving and together. And anyway, super happy for them, but I also love the little nudge there with the whole deja vu thing. Like Hannah saying what she did and looking at the yellow coat and going like, oh, let's name our kid Jonas. Like, you know, we all experience deja vu. It's a shared experience of humanity, right? And so the show just kind of like nodding to that at the end, because the origin world is going to have its echoes and effects into both Adam's world and Eva's world. So that's another reason I'm really excited to rewatch, knowing how this ends completely and being able to pick up on really tiny details now, I think is going to be a very good time. I also love that the writers absolutely trolled the fuck out of us about Torben's eye. Oh my gosh, this whole time I was like, I can't wait to find out about what happened to his eye or what happened to his arm in Eva's world. And they just went, there is no reason. It doesn't matter. It is nothing. Alexander Tiedemann and that whole murder mystery, Clausen, no, it was pawn. It was just another fucking pawn thing in this goddamn story. It was simply just there so that things would happen, so that the apocalypse would get triggered and things would happen. That was literally this whole purpose. And I think that is crazy. I think that is crazy. I think that is crazy. I kind of expected all that to matter more, to be honest. So in a weird way, I feel like those scenes are actually going to be hella painful on a rewatch, just because of knowing that it's simply just a pawn thing that needs to be done. Clausen, the letter that he received that prompted him to go to Winden in the first place to do all of this, because like Clausen was the one that ended up helping to trigger the apocalypse because he forced them to let him into the room with the barrels and to break it open and la la la, right? So that was ultimately the end goal. But the letter that Clausen received that prompted him to go in the first place, I don't think that we got information on like who gave him that letter, who wrote it. I gotta assume at this point that it was the Origin that did it, under the instruction of Eva, who obviously wants everything to remain the same always, right? And we know that the Origin can frequently go back and forth between Adam's world and Eva's world, right? That's another thing too. Thinking about this whole story, it's crazy that Adam wanted to destroy everything and Eva was like, nope, everything has to be in place all the time. Sorry, we can't change a goddamn thing. So Adam and Eva are doing one of these the whole time. But Claudia, meanwhile, is like, there's something else. There's something more that needs to be done. And she ended up figuring it out. And I think that is so freaking cool. I also still can't handle that, like, this show has drilled into us since the beginning, the threes, right? The triquetra, the 33 years, the blah, 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 blah. And like, even at the start of this season, or rather at the very end of season 2, even at the very end of season 2, when we were told that there is another world, it still never crossed my mind that that would mean that there was a third world as well. Like, it just straight up did not. And I have no idea why in hindsight, because yeah, 2 worlds does not align with like the 3s and the 33s and the blah, blah, blah. So anyway, again, these things are just going to be so fun on a rewatch to catch all the little details that suddenly go, aha, makes sense. I have been told that rewatching episode 1 of this series after watching the finale, like suddenly just, it's like ding, 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 like you just notice so much and you're just like, so I'm really very excited to rewatch the premiere, the pilot, the start of this series. It's gonna be a good time. Looking at this family tree now, because I do have the Dark Companion site open at the moment to the family tree, but looking at this family tree, it's crazy how many people get completely removed with the ceasing to existence of Adam's world and Eva's world. Noah, Agnes, pretty much every Nielsen with the exception of Katharina because she was born to people outside of this. But like Magnus, Mikkel, Martha, Daniel and Inez Convald are fine in the origin world because, yeah, so they're okay. Hannah's fine because she was born to Sebastian Kruger. But all of the Dopplers are gone because of the fact that Noah and Charlotte and Elizabeth, well, not Peter. Peter's still around, but like Noah and Elizabeth and Charlotte can exist. Francisca can exist. I also really appreciated about the finale that we had that scene where Martha was seeing a young Jonas and Jonas was seeing a young Martha. Just another little nudge of confirmation that yes, these worlds are connected and it's the loops. It's just how it works. So like Alt Martha, despite having never met that particular Jonas before, ended up remembering that she did see him once. And then same thing with him, right? I do feel like those kids were probably a little bit too young to keep those memories forever, you know? And that might be like the one flaw with this show. Like the one flaw. The one flaw with this show is the amount of little things that people like suddenly just remembered, right? One example is the ultimate fist bump thing, right? Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm a child in the backseat of a car and it's just a regular ass day and we stop for some person on the side of the road and, you know, the ultimate fist, or sorry, not random person, it was Jonas, but still, it's like that one moment, like the ultimate fist bump. Like with Mikkel's age and then like fast forwarding all the way up to old Michael, like, I don't know, because like, I'm trying to think of my own childhood, right? I fucking can't remember the smallest of encounters with people or like the smallest of things, right? So that's maybe like the one unrealistic thing about the show. Well, I say the one unrealistic thing. Fucking the whole show is unrealistic, let's be honest, because this is science fiction after all. But you know what I mean? Anyway, it's like such a minor criticism, but I did think that at times throughout the show, though. Like anytime we had a scene where it like suddenly clicked for someone and they suddenly remembered, like another example of that is back in, would it have been season 1? When young Hannah and her dad are in the truck and it's raining outside and teenage Jonas is on the side of the road, right? And it's his first time, I think it's his first time seeing his mother, right? And they offer him a ride and he declines, right? But then Hannah like remembers later on when he confronts her about it, and then she remembers like, oh, that was you. It's like, again, I don't think that realistically you would remember that. Just saying. One thing that I am really, really excited to do is to go on the Dark Wiki and actually read over character pages, item pages, all that stuff, because it is just going to really connect into everything. And I am glad that I can no longer feel like I have to avoid the wiki aside from the episode pages and just reading over that stuff. I'm also excited for each episode to read all the stuff below it, like the stuff below the cast, like the analysis trivia, that kind of thing. Because obviously I've been avoiding all that throughout this entire journey so far. So there's a lot of reading in my future because I definitely want to have like a very firm understanding of the show. Again, I can't wait to rewatch it. And I don't know that I have anything else left to say. I'm just really excited for this rewatch experience. I'm excited for all these like little bits of dialogue to just suddenly like make sense. All these interactions between people in season 1 especially, I think is going to hit a lot harder this time around. And I feel like it's going to be a heckin' good time. So this was a journey, y'all. This is so fun. This is, what do I think about the show in terms of other shows? For now, I still think Mr. Robot is my number 1, but I will firmly 100,000% put Dark as my number 2 show of all time. And honestly, after a full proper rewatch of this, editing my own reactions, reminding myself of what my theories were, what my thoughts were, blah, 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 this might actually be my number 1 by the end. So just because of its complexity, its solid ending to it, and just the time travel aspect and the casting and just the acting, the dialogue, everything, like, this show is incredible. The show is incredible. It's been such a good time. Season ranking. Season 2 is my favorite season. That's my number 1. Between season 1 and season 3, I think is really hard to pick which would be in second place, to be honest. I don't know. But I do know that season 2 is a clear favorite. I almost want to say season 3 and then season 1, but season 1 was really good too. The only reason that I think I might put season 1 as my lowest is simply because I do feel like with the rewatching experience, it might just feel like it drags on a little bit. Not to mention season 1 is 2 episodes longer than seasons 2 and 3. So that might be the only complaint on a rewatch. Season 1 is amazing when you're watching for the first time, but I do think on a rewatch, it is potentially going to be the weakest of the 3 seasons, but we'll see. We will see. I think that's it, guys. I've talked plenty. I am very excited for your comments, though. Your comments, your thoughts. Let's talk about this finale. This was, in my opinion, really good and an appropriate way to end a story like this when we've got these loops and shit. I also really appreciate, sorry that I'm now continuing on, but I appreciate that, like, I could have never predicted Tannhaus actually, which is funny because Tannhaus felt like a very primary character in season 1. But for him to actually end up being the cause of all this technically is really kind of cool. And I kind of like that analogy of Tannhaus being the god and Adam and Eve, Jonas and Martha, and then just out from there. So also, Jonas was called an angel by Tannhaus's child. So that's kind of neat. He said he thought he saw an angel, or he thought Jonas was an angel. And then there was that shot in Eva's room when Jonas died, when slightly older teenage Martha killed Jonas in Eva's place. When he was on the ground lying right over the infinity symbol with the family tree, like those did kind of look a little bit like wings coming out of him. I'm excited to really dig into like the symbolism of this show, the religious aspect. I know that the wiki goes over that stuff. They've got things marked off on certain pages. So I'm excited to read. This is going to be so fun. Anyway, I'm done. I'm going to stop talking. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. I really appreciate it. And whatever reactions you tune into next, we'll see in those videos, whatever they are, or if you're going to go back in time and watch some of my older stuff, that's cool too. Anyway, just thank you so much for being here, and we will see you in the next reaction. Take care, everybody. Hello, everybody. Editor Me here. I just worked on everything you just watched in this video up till now, and I'm so excited to be sitting here to provide more of an extended review from the version of me that has not only been through this whole show through my own reactions, making all these videos for you guys, but I did also rewatch the show completely on my own time, sitting on the couch, looking at the TV, not talking, not anything, just 100% focused with no other distractions. So the show is still my number 2 for right now. Mr. Robot is still my number 1, but I have just begun my 6th rewatch of that show. So by the time I'm done that and I'm tempted to rewatch Dark again, these two might be tied for number 1. I do find it very difficult to decide between the two which one is my favorite because they're both similar in many ways, but very, very, very different. Mr. Robot is not a confusing show, but its cinematography I enjoy more than the cinematography in Dark, believe it or not. Anyway, it's just really hard to compare these two shows. I love them so much for very different reasons, but we're here today to talk about Dark. And before I do, I just want to extend a massive, massive, massive thank you to everyone for watching these videos. If you've been here for every single one, thank you so much. If you're someone that tuned in for certain moments, thank you so much. If you're someone that left comments, thank you so much for doing so. Definitely read them all and replied to as many as I could. I definitely can't reply to all comments that I get, but I sometimes pick and choose, but I did read everyone's comments that were left on every single video. And when I made the decision to bring these reactions to the channel, I knew that these videos probably wouldn't perform all that well, and they definitely didn't, but I do appreciate all of you that did take the time to join me on this journey because I didn't really care about how they would perform. I finished the show and I was like, I want to bring it to YouTube because I want to meet more Dark fans and talk to them in the comments. And being that I did have the whole show watched, obviously you guys know you didn't have to spoil in the comments for me or anything, so it was very fun to have you point out some connections. Some of them I did already know and pick up on, others I didn't really realize, so thank you so much. Anyway, with that, I have no idea where to really start. I think it makes sense to start with the series finale, so I'm gonna talk about that. Something that is frustrating about myself a little bit is that I don't always get emotional during a first watch of something, and Dark was a show where I really did not get that emotional about certain things, that on rewatches I became a blubbering mess, and this finale was definitely one of them. Sitting here editing the scene where Jonas and Martha are standing on that street, they've done what they needed to do, and they both are disappearing and they're crying, and Jonas is like, we're a perfect match, don't believe anything else. Oh my gosh, like in the moment I did get emotional, but sitting here editing that, I was crying. I was absolutely sobbing, and then also watching Adam and Eva disappear, watching Stranger Jonas disappear, watching Claudia disappear, and looking so happy because that was her sign that it worked and she figured it out. Like, I could probably sit here and talk about how amazing Claudia, and I do plan to. I feel like I could sit here for probably an hour just talking about Claudia. I mentioned when I recorded this finale and I was recording that review, I said I think Claudia might be my favorite character after a rewatch. She absolutely is my favorite character out of everybody. She is incredible. She's incredible, and it's because she has the brain to make sense of this. Like, Jonas and Martha were high schoolers when all this started, and Claudia had the education to be able to actually get to the bottom of this. She was the nuclear power plant director. She could understand numbers and science and things. She knew what the God particle was when she first found out that it was a thing, right? So like she had the know-how, and just watching her through this show dedicate her life to it, like when she really started getting into it in season 2, when we saw her start neglecting her appearance and neglecting her sleep and pushing back all of her meetings and appointments and such, like when she started really getting into it, that was awesome. That was so awesome. It still trips me up that like Jonas taught her because older her taught Jonas, and like that bootstrap paradox loop that we have. I mean, there's so many of them in the show, but like that was one of my favorite ones, was that. But season 3 Claudia, I won't lie, season 3 Claudia I do think is my favorite Claudia out of them all, and I'm just so proud of her. I'm so proud of her. Every time I'm gonna rewatch this show, I will always just be proud of her, and it'll be so fun to see early her, just knowing what's to come. And the casting for Claudia was also amazing. Something that I did not pick up on in this finale, though, by the way, that I have on rewatches, especially when I was editing the show, there is a scene, I can't remember what episode it was, but when young Claudia is over at the Doppler house preparing to tutor Helga, and fucking Bernd Doppler comes out. There's a conversation he has with her about like, oh, you're so old now. You're getting to be so pretty and beautiful. Like, knowing that those two ended up together down the road kind of makes that scene really freaking creepy in hindsight. But anyway, whatever. Things all work out. It's fine. Whatever. I'm sure that adult them were fine. I'm fine with age gaps in adulthood, but I will admit, just like, I don't know, that scene with Bernd and her, it's a little weird. So Claudia is my favorite character, but Adam is my favorite like villain of the show, but it's really hard to call him that. I almost want to call him an anti-hero, even though I feel like that's the wrong term too. Adam is such a complex character because on rewatches, when you know Adam's full arc, when you know that Claudia was the one that like told him what was up and was like, you need to like fix this once and for all. I know how. Here's what we do. And we got to see Adam. We got to see the teenage Jonas and the stranger Jonas come out of him a little bit. The actor for Adam did such a fantastic job. Someone, I think, commented at one point, or I saw this online when I was looking, I can't remember, but Adam's actor, this was like a very serious role for, like, he's normally a comedian and like in comedic roles, and this is like the one time that he's been omega serious in a role. I think he did a great job. I think he was such a great actor. I loved Adam's presence throughout all of season 2. I loved how much I disliked Adam so much. And then by season 3, especially towards the end, I just really came around to this character. So Adam's motivations is so interesting to me because, like, he wants to destroy the world, and that's ultimately what ended up happening in the end. In order to fix all of this, was the world did get destroyed. So it's hard to disagree with his motivations when you first meet, when you know the outcome and then you go back and rewatch and you see early him and you hear his words and you hear what he says to Jonas, and like, I don't know, I feel like the more that I rewatch the show, the less and less and less I feel negatively about Adam. It just, again, knowing the ending of it all, it's just really hard to have the same feelings that you do through a first watch. But again, that's the beauty of the show, and that's why I love the show so much, is because rewatching is a completely different experience, and it's just so fun picking up on a lot of the smaller details. One of the things I loved about going through my own reactions was with Noah specifically. When, you know, you find out Noah's fate, and then especially in season 3, when you get to experience Noah and Elizabeth and what they went through, going back to season 1 of the show and hearing the words that Noah is saying and understanding where in the overall like timelines Noah's at, right? Like, that's the thing with this show. It's sometimes really difficult to kind of place things chronologically, but that is where in that review I mentioned that I was really excited to go to the Dark Wiki and actually start reading over character pages and reading over item pages and stuff. So I have gone through and read over a number of the character pages. So getting things laid out in a bit of a chronological order, I guess, was very, very helpful. And yeah, Noah is a character that I feel very bad for. Going through my season 1 reactions was a little painful because I was convinced that Noah was not to be trusted and he was this bad guy and la la la. No, not at all. Not at all. Noah just had way too much trust in Adam, and yeah, he had such a rough journey. So did Elizabeth, man. Katerina, man, there were so many people that just had like the worst journeys ever. And it's hard to figure out like which character do you feel the worst for, because there's so many characters to feel bad for. I do think that, like, for me, I mean, I'm going to agree with Past Me, honestly. Like Mikkel, Michael, Helga, Katerina. Yeah. Katerina, I think especially because just her journey was crazy. Her journey was crazy. Her teenage life was not good because her mom was just incredibly physically abusive, which also was probably implied trauma, right? Because of the abortion scene where we first meet her as a teenager. So just, you know, passed down generation through generation a little bit. Katerina, you know, having the success with finding Ulrich, like, I remember... Sorry, I forgot. I'd forgotten how long it took Katerina to finally like understand what the fuck was going on and get on board with it. Like, she was so resistant. I forgot just how resistant she was to like all of this. People were trying to convince her like, we're not fucking with you, and she's just not wanting to hear it really. But then once she finally gets her own proof that convinces her, then her journey gets a lot more exciting, but then it gets a lot more heartbreaking as well, right? I think when she finally does time travel and she ends up seeing Ulrich and just so determined to help him, it's just heartbreaking that she ends up being killed by her own mother. Lady in the Lake. Lady in the Lake. Yeah. There were a lot of theories that I was proud of myself for being able to pick up with this show that I got correctly, but I'll admit that throughout editing all of these videos, there were definitely moments where I was very annoyed with Past Me. And one of the things that annoyed me the most is my insistence that there was something more with Alexander Tiedemann. And in the end, it's crazy because that whole Alexander Clausen storyline and all of those scenes, the investigation work, all of that, like, all of it was just building up to the apocalypse happening. Like, it wasn't clear to me during a first watch. Obviously, editing these videos, it's a lot more clear. And then especially just on a rewatch on my own, it was a lot more clear that the unknown, the origin man, he was the one that wrote the letter and sent it to Clausen because Eva needed to ensure that everything in Adam's world happened. And one of the things that needed to happen was the apocalypse happening. So on that first watch, it was very confusing watching the unknown man at the time, like getting those keys, like killing Bernd Doppler, getting those keys. That was like a very big question mark to me. And then the Tannhaus going way back in time, murdering them, also big. Like, all of it on a first watch is just very confusing because you don't know who this person is. And what they're doing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then on the rewatch, it's like, yes, of course, this is all Eva. Eva is making him do this to ensure that things always happen as they're supposed to happen. I am mad at myself for thinking that the unknown man was just a gap filler. Totally not. It was just a mother's love and attachment for her son and making sure that he would always be born again and again and again and again. And you know, because this has all happened an infinite number of times, but to keep things aligned with the whole threes, everything happens in threes. There's so many threes in this gosh darn show. And the unknown, the origin being, I don't know why I keep saying unknown, because that's how he was always credited. The unknown man always traveling in his threes, right? Like, yes, technically it's happened an infinite number of times, but three, always together. But it's happened an infinite number of times because that's how the three of them can always stay together and keep this going. It's kind of crazy to think about. It's also very confusing. Anyway, so I am kind of mad at Past Me for being like, what was the point of him in the end? It's like, girl, big point, massive point. He was also the father of both worlds, really. I mean, Jonas and Martha technically, but the origin was the origin for a reason. It was him, Agnes, Tronta, blah, 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 and all out from there. So, yeah. A few of my favorite things about this rewatch, I'm going to talk about season 1, Stranger Jonas. Just knowing where he was at in this journey and him going back to Teenage Jonas on a rewatch, I definitely focus more on Stranger Jonas in those scenes than I do Teenage Jonas, because I just know that Teenage Jonas is like very confused and has no idea what to do, but I know Stranger Jonas's path up to that point, so kind of treating those scenes as if we're following him and his perspective instead of Teenage Jonas is a very, very good time. And honestly, you could say the same about Adult Noah as well. Something that really, really stood out to me on rewatch was the Ariadne play and watching Martha go through that in season 1, but then also watching her and Killian do it again in season 3. Some of those lines that are spoken are so good. I'll also echo the scene at the school in season 3 with Jonas kind of just walking in, sitting, but Bartaj is doing that whole thing about black holes and stuff. Oh my gosh. Those scenes, that dialogue, I know I had to cut a lot of it out in these videos, but those are really, really fun to rewatch because it's talking about the red thread and it's talking about the bond and the knot and like can't break it, blah, blah, blah. And it's so good. Another thing extremely obvious on a rewatch that you would not ever notice or care about on a first watch is every time that where Martha died in the Convald home at the end of season 2. Just how many times that spot is looked at by Stranger Jonas. Before you actually get to that moment, right? There's also a conversation between Adam and Teenage Jonas where Adam says something about like there's some pain that you never forget. He's talking about Martha's death, which obviously is still to come, and Teenage Jonas has no idea about that, and oh my goodness, it's so well done. And it's moments like that where like you can't do that when you don't know how many seasons you're going to get of a show. Like that's only something that you can do when you've planned everything from start to finish. And I just so appreciate that. Just everything is done super, super intentionally. There's so many lines in seasons 1 and 2 that hint towards or foreshadow things in season 3. So many characters that make certain decisions or say certain things that mean a lot more because you know how they end up in the future. Like when we first meet adult Elizabeth in season 2, like she's so different. She's so different compared to her younger self. And you just can't help but sit here and be like, what the hell is going on? Like what has happened to her? And then once season 3 is over, you're just like, okay, girl, I get it. I understand. Speaking of Elizabeth, oh my gosh, the actress for her, I genuinely thought was deaf. And it wasn't until like when she spoke in season 3, that was such a shocking moment for me because I had just fully believed like that girl was extremely talented at acting like she was deaf and hard of hearing. I felt like the sign language was really great. I'm sure that she learned, like seriously took her time to learn it. But even just like the mouth movements and facial expressions and like the sound that she was making to come out of her mouth, like I fully believed that they had hired a deaf actress for her. So come to find out that that was not the case at all. And then even Francisca's actor in season 3, when she suddenly had to act deaf, I think that she did a great job too, like fully believable. So anyway, that was a very just great acting there. Yep. There is so much about this show that you can talk about because there's so much to talk about regarding characters. There's so much to talk about regarding objects. Something that I still haven't worked out quite for myself is like the timeline of certain objects, the notebook, the St. Christopher pendant, the For Charlotte watch. Like there's so many different items. I think that the one that I could get my brain wrapped around the most anyway was the the St. Christopher pendant. Guys, that just made me realize that I should have put this on for this review. I got this after I finished the show. I was like, I want the St. Christopher pendant, so I have one now. I don't always wear it because I want it to last a really long time, but yeah, I have the pendant, and it's definitely one of my favorite necklaces ever. I think the hardest object for me to follow and keep track of in the show is Tannhouse's time machine, because that just passes through so many different times and people and places that it's just like, it's really convoluted and hard to keep track of. So something that I've been meaning to do is to go, like, I still haven't done this, but I really want to go online, and I'm sure that there's been people who have really like broken down all this stuff, like tracking certain objects, tracking like the machine and then the pendant and all of that. So that's definitely something that I will eventually go on and read about. One thing that I have saved and kind of explored a little bit is someone created a dark visual timeline that's interactive. It is so well done. I will link it in the pinned comment below in case you haven't seen it and want to check it out too. Would recommend. I have not yet read everything in it though. I've only played around in there just a little bit. Oh, it's genuinely hard to think about what else to say. So I think I'll just wrap it up there. I think the last thing I will say is that this is just a phenomenally written, acted, well shot show. The music, there were so many songs. I feel like the songs were all very deliberately chosen. A lot of the lyrics just fit the moment and what was going on, especially this finale. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful world. Such a great song to have as the final song on the show. And yeah, this was just such a great time. I'm so happy that I'm done this. Like, it's a bittersweet because I feel like I could just rewatch the show over and over again. But editing these videos is a lot of fun. I'm glad the journey is over and can move on and do some other things. So with that, I think I will just do my typical plug, I guess. Hi, I have watched a ton of TV shows over on my Patreon that are not edited for YouTube, and it's hard to know if I will ever edit any of them for YouTube. So if you're curious about what all I've watched, I do have a full reaction library that I will link in the pinned comment, but you can also go to my Patreon and browse through my collections to access. You can either become a member or you can just purchase the collection directly to get the videos inside of that. So feel free to take a browse. My channel is mostly movie reactions, so if you've enjoyed my reactions to Dark and you're curious about the movies that I've seen, feel free to take a browse and check some of them out. And yeah, just thank you so much again for your time. Thank you so much for all of your comments. To everyone's names who just went by here on the screen, thank you so much for your support over on my Patreon. I really appreciate it. And with that, if you were somehow not yet subscribed, click here to do so. And if you want to watch something else of mine, click on over here. Thank you so much again, and we will see you in the next reaction. Take care, everybody.